What's up, YouTube? This is the MD Investor, and this is the calm before the storm. I'm recording this video on August 27th, 2024, the eve of NVIDIA's Q2 earnings report, which is coming at the end of trading day on Wednesday, August 28th. So, needless to say, highly anticipated. Everybody's on edge. Wall Street is on edge. NVIDIA investors are on edge. All the retail investors are on edge. Institutional investors are on edge. People are on edge because this is probably the most important earnings report of the entire year and probably the most followed company, the most important company of 2024, right? The company at the vanguard of artificial intelligence. So, what are we to look for or to listen out for on this earnings report? Well, did NVIDIA meet or beat the expectations that Wall Street had for the earnings? They're expecting revenues of $28 billion for this quarter. Most analysts, so the average analyst expectation is $28.6 billion. So that's the first thing. How much did they beat it? And if so, did they meet the expectation? And if so, did they exceed the expectation? Obviously, if they do not meet the expectations, that's going to be a missed. That's going to be a missed earnings. And if that happens, the stock will go down. If they just meet it, probably going to be neutral. If they exceed it, and if so, by how much, that could be a reason for the stock to pop higher. Okay? So that's the first thing, right? They have been beating their earnings over the last several quarters by as much as 20% a few quarters ago, right? The last quarter, I think they beat by over 5%. So 28 billion is what Wall Street is expecting. Do they beat that? Do they beat that, right? Some analysts at specifically HBSC or HBC, the bank, are expecting $30 billion. So that's the first thing we're gonna look for. The revenue. Are they meeting or beating revenue? So that's the first thing. The next thing we want to look for in the earnings report is the gross margin. They have been having huge gross margin last couple of quarters, over 70%. The expectation for the gross margins for Wall Street are about 74.5%, somewhere around there. So that's something we have to look. That's something we're looking forward to. The margin, and the margin is important because this is telling us how much money they're making off of that revenue, right? How much money they're making off of that revenue. 75% is a huge amount of gross margin. That means for every $100 in revenue they're earning, $75 out of that 100 in revenue is profits. Profit for the investors, profit for you, profit for me. Okay, the next thing we want to look for or listen out for is there's been some delay. There've been some reports of delay in the next iteration of their GPU, the Blackwell. There've been reports that there may be some delay, maybe a couple of months or several quarters delay. So we want to hear information on that. Obviously, if there's only a short-term delay, it might not matter that much. But if it's going to be a prolonged delay, that might be an issue, right? The next thing we want to listen out for as well is the China situation. There were some reports of some of the processors. There's been some issue with the processors coming out of China that there may be some type of tariffs or something to that sort, right? The next thing too is there've been reports of insider selling of stocks, right? Jensen, the CEO, and there've been some others in the company that have been selling stocks. So is this significant? These guys are billionaires, so if they sell a couple of $1 million, is that really anything significant that should affect us? Again, highly anticipated earnings report. The next thing too we want to listen to is guidance from the company. What are they saying in terms of the path forward? The next quarter, what are the guidance for earnings and gross margins, right? So that's something to listen out for as well. There've been some good news coming out for NVIDIA, such as large amount of capital expenditure by some of their largest consumers like Microsoft and Meta or Facebook, by increasing their capital expenditure, spending money on NVIDIA's GPUs. That's a great sign. So putting it all together, it's going to be highly anticipated. Whether it moves the market or not will depend on whether it meets or exceeds or beats Wall Street expectation, and if so, by how much. Right now, the stock closed at about $128 and change. So there are analysts out there who are predicting NVIDIA may go up to as much as $170 per share. Just want to get out of here and give you my thoughts on this highly anticipated earnings call coming out tomorrow, and some of the things to look for as we listen out for this potentially blockbusting earnings report. Again, this is the MD Investor trying to educate us so we can teach our children and break the cycle of generational poverty. MD Investor out.